Hello, everybody, and welcome to the, I guess, the mini lecture for Unity last month. So, or last week of the month. So, what I'm going to do is kind of run through a few things, show you about Unity, hopefully answer some questions. And yes, Joshua, it is awesome. All right, so first of all, very important thing is that you have the latest and greatest version of Unity. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start that here. Take care of a few things. All right, so when you install Unity, which you can get at unity3d.com, make sure when you're installing it that you install the standard assets example project. All right, so it's just kind of important because it allows you to see a bunch of the features of Unity. All right, so a few things that will help here. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. All right, so here we have Unity running the example project real quick. So let me go ahead and hit play on this real quick. All right, so the first thing you're going to notice is that it has sound. So yeah, that's cool. You can control it with keyboard and mouse. If you have a game controller plugged in, it will work as well. So yeah, it's a little noisy, but it's a lot of fun to play with. So let me show you the other parts of it here. I'm going to go to the menu here and go to characters. I'm going to go to the third person character here. All right, so this is Ethan. First of all, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the max mod he's on play here, and I'm going to disconnect this real quick. Try it one more time. All right, so characters, third person character. This is Ethan. You've probably met him already. But Ethan is our kind of our generic default character. He helps us with testing and stuff. So pretty helpful. He can jump. He can run, ducks at certain times, especially when getting hit on the head with objects that you place. So yeah. So it's pretty cool. Of course, there are a few other things. You can test. Oops. I guess I could have gone here real quick. We could try the other vehicles. So, the jet plane. So all this stuff is to kind of give you an idea of what it can do. And actually, all this stuff is built in, so you don't have to do a lot of work to make it work. And of course, the most important, the particles. So we can blow things up, set them on fire. Have storms and steam and spray things down with water, important things like that. And of course, fireworks. So all this stuff is pretty useful. You can look at it for examples. Let's go ahead and start with a new scene here real quick. So a scene is basically, sorry guys, it's just the way it is when you're trying to do something live like this. Let me see what the is showing here. There you go. Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to be just a little bit laggy just because of it's recording it and building everything, and it's all kinds of awesomeness. So, actually, what I'm going to do is not a new scene. I'm going to do new project here. Let's start off fresh here. All right, sometimes Unity likes to kind of mess up and it'll do a 2D project instead of a 3D project. And we'll see that in a second. Yep, see it like it did a 2D project. So let's see if it decides to work out this time. Yes, there we go. All right, so it's a bug in Unity. Not really much we can do about it. We can report it. I know. I really, I'll probably one of these days put in a bug report for it. But that's probably one of those super low priority bugs. Like, you can fix it. It's only when you're starting a new project. So, all right. So this is the basic layout of Unity when you start it up. We have our hierarchy over here. We have our inspector over here. We have our scene where we can set stuff up here. And down here we have our project. So this is where we store our assets for the game. This is what's in the scene right now. And this is when we click on something over here, we can look at it to edit it. So if I click on the camera here, we can actually look at the settings for the camera. All right, and then if we hit play, we can see what we have here, which is amounts to basically nothing. So this is kind of the start of the project. So we have nothing in here right now. So let's kind of get started on this real quick. All right, so we have, we can move around and look at what's in our scene here real quick. If we hold down the right mouse button, it allows us to use our mouse cursor to move around, kind of move the camera around. You'll also notice if you look closely at the mouse cursor, there's a kind of a, how should I put it, a familiar key combination there. WSAD or arrow keys. So if I use WSAD, I can move around while holding the right mouse button. So we can move in and out, left and right, turn our stuff there. You can zoom in and out with your scroll wheel, but I actually suggest not doing that because for some reason it can mess up what I like to call the editing camera, which is kind of the camera that I'm moving around right now. So yeah, so best not to actually scroll in and out. Now, what I'm kind of going around here is the game camera. So this is what we're looking out of when we hit play or when we're actually running our game. You'll notice this kind of wireframe object here looks kind of like a sideways pyramid. It is. This is what is called the the view frustum. And what that does is it represents the space at what will be rendered. So anything in that space will be rendered. If it's outside of it, it doesn't get rendered. It doesn't get drawn. Now, if you played some older games or games that have things that are really far away, sometimes you will notice things that are just pop up in the distance. Playing a racing game and things just start popping up when they finally get closer. Well, that's those objects actually coming in to the end, the far distance of this this view frustum. Now, it's going to take me a little bit to get there, but I can. All right, there we go. And there we go. So if I have an object that's sitting right here, it won't be rendered. So if it's sitting outside of that camera, grab that main camera. If it's sitting right here, it won't be drawn. But if it's inside this area over here, it will be. And now that's basically, there are two reasons for that. one of them, we need to be able to cut down on what we draw, because if we drew everything in front of us, we wouldn't be able to have a lot in front of us. It's kind of the cheesy way to say it. Also, for a computer to draw stuff, it has to know what order to draw things. So it needs to know what things are in the back, and then everything that's in front of it, and it needs to be able to order that stuff. And without that ability, it'll draw things that are farther away on top of things that are closer. And if you're unlucky enough, you may have seen that actually happen before. It looks really, really weird, but it does. So what happens when objects are drawn is they are assigned a value. Basically, their z-depth. So this z-depth is a value assigned to it. It can be anywhere from here all the way out to the far clipping plane, way out there. All right, and everything is assigned a value. So there are only so many values that can be assigned, and you've actually seen the effect when you have two objects competing for that. So if you've ever seen a game where there's something on the wall and it's kind of flashing and maybe has some lines through it and it's kind of blinking a little bit, maybe even it kind of strobes back between on and off. That is what is called z-fighting, and that's what's happening is they're actually sharing basically the same value, and when it renders, it's having a hard time figuring out which one is which. Yeah, so that means the game probably is probably a little bit higher than your current specs. But yeah, turning down that draw distance will help a lot. All right, so you'll also notice if we get close enough here that this pyramid is not an exact pyramid. It has kind of this chopped off end. This chopped off end is what is called the near clipping plane. So basically, things that get too close don't get rendered either. All right, so that's the idea behind this whole kind of view here. So also a few things I guess I should tell you, things that have changed since I've recorded the actual video last. First of all, you can actually now build for the Xbox One without having the dev kit or anything like that. There's a way out there, a new way that is blessed by Microsoft. Now it's not completely ready yet. It's kind of in a beta stage, and can cause problems with some games. So you really want to be sure you want to do this. But you can build for Xbox One in Unity now. And if you want to do that, you have to when you do the installer, you have to install. Hold on, let's see if I can pull up the installer here real quick. Nope, not at all. Now if you're asking. If you pull up the installer, drag that from over here. Bear with me a second here. Let's go to downloads. All right. So if you go to the installer here, yeah, I know you can't see that. What you want is, well, first thing, you always want the example project. Number two, you need to check these two. Now, apparently on this machine, I may not have installed those two. But if you want to build for Xbox One, check those two. All right, well, I'm not going to install that right now. So, yeah. So, there's a few other things. I'm pretty sure I didn't talk about VR stuff in it. But it is available, and it is disgustingly easy. you'll be ticked at how easy it is. So let's move on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of create a few things here, and we're going to talk about that. Isn't it awesome? I'm I have a DK1 and 2, and I'm waiting for my commercial version. And yeah, I went to order it, and apparently I got in just a little bit late during the day, so I have to wait a few months for it. It's friggin' awesome. Can you tell my sarcasm in this case? All right, so let me go ahead and start some stuff here. First of all, let's start off with a ground. You know, it's not good not having the ground because we have kind of no plane of reference. So let's start that. Actually, no, we're not going to start with terrain first. What I'm going to do is, we have multiple ways we can start. So one way we can go here and go to Create, 3D Object, and then we're going to go to Plane. Actually, Kyle, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So we're basically going to get this started here and then work our way to that. The plane's going to be a little bit different. All right, so what I'm going to do is right now we're on this last selection. It's not exactly what I want. Really what I want is the resize tool here. So it's the second to last one here. And this is even though we went to a 3D object, this is actually a 2D object. And the way you can tell that is, well, one thing, if I drag this up, it doesn't actually grow. Number two, I'm going to kind of make this bigger so it's easier to see. I can go down through it, and if I look back up, there's nothing there because it's only a 2D object. So for your project, the terrain is okay. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to just show you a few different things, and having just this flat plane for now is good. All right, so this flat plane is just a place we can sit and work on. All right, so we have a nice flat plane here. If we hit play, we can actually see it now. We have kind of this working area. All right, so let's drop in a few other objects. Now, I went over here to create this last time. If we go up here to Game Object, I can do that as well. So I'm going to do Game Object, and I'm going to drop in a cube. Exactly. Okay, so I've dropped that cube in, and I want to move it up. So I went over to the second one here that has the 4 arrows pointing out, up, down, left, and right. So I have my cube here, and you'll notice that it has a shadow as well because it is a physical object. So these controls are a lot like Maya, with the exception that it has this feature. So you'll notice these little squares here. If you grab one of them, it will move that object on that plane. It crashes less. Yeah, don't use your scroll wheel to zoom in. The problem with that is it for some reason gets your camera out of whack, and then it's very hard to edit with. The only way I found out is to basically scroll back to where you were, and sometimes that will allow you to kind of get your camera back. All right, so the thing to remember with these kind of development tools is they're not as refined as, you know, consumer software. Also, if you hold down your keys, just keep holding them down, it'll go faster and faster. But yes, Kyle is right. Shift does allow you to move a little bit faster. All right, so we have the movement. So we have X, Y, and Z movements. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit play on here. And you're going to notice that this box just sits there in midair. There's no physics or anything on it. That's cool. Sometimes that's what we want. All right, so we have an object there. Let's go ahead and add in a player, just so we can move around and look at stuff. The way we want to do that is go to Assets and go to Import Package. And then you want to hit Characters right here. So Characters will bring in a bunch of information for us. So I'm going to let that happen here real quick. And it's going to pop open a window. It actually popped open on my other screen here, so I have to go dig for it because it's hiding behind all of your stuff. There we go. All right, so these are the items it's going to bring in for us. Quite useful. So I'm going to go ahead and hit import on this, and it's going to drop it down here in our assets. Yep, Ethan is our friend. You will get used to seeing Ethan. All right, so this is one of those, we just get to wait for it kind of stuff. All right, there we go. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we want to go into the standard assets folder here. Now, something to remember, this does not represent folders on your hard drive. It's just a way for us to organize stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on the standard assets folder here. Sometimes you see it as standard ass. That's just the way it is. All right. Next, we're going to go to characters. All right, and then we're going to go to third person. All right, under third person, we're going to search for prefabs, and that's what this is right here, prefabs. Double click on it, and we're going to bring in the third person controller, not the AI, because the AI doesn't have controls for us. So we just want plain old third person. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to drag it in here. And while I hold it, I can position Ethan where I want. So we're going to start Ethan right here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this just so you can see it. All right, hit play, and Ethan's actually standing behind the camera. And I'm going to kind of walk Ethan forward. Well, right now our camera is just stuck in one place. We are not moving the camera. We can just move Ethan. Sit there, run around. There you go. So let's kind of fix this little issue here. Yes, Ethan does not have textures. He has some of the stuff on it, but it doesn't actually have any sort of color. All right, so I'm going to stop this for now. And the next thing we can do is kind of show you the quick and dirty way to set up a camera for Ethan. And then I'm going to show you another way in a second. All right, so quick and dirty way is kind of a line behind Ethan. In fact, I may back up a little bit so I'm just a little bit over him. Align my camera the best I can to center. And then I'm going to click the main camera here, either over here in the hierarchy or over here in the scene here. And then I'm going to go up to Game Object. And I'm going to choose Align with View here. So it's going to put the camera exactly where our editing camera is right now. So if I move away right now, we see Ethan there, or we see the camera there looking at Ethan. All right, the next thing I want to do is I want to take that camera and child it to Ethan. So basically what that does is anytime this third-person controller moves, our camera will move with it. So it kind of just attaches it to each other. It childed it. I childed it to it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hit play now. All right, so remember, this is the quick and dirty way of doing it. If I move around, it kind of works fine it's always exactly behind Ethan. It's not very fluid, and it can have fun when you hit back, because Ethan actually uses, or the third-person controller actually uses, part of the camera's alignment to help set things up. But yeah, we can still walk around. Yes, you can walk off the edge. Ah! All right, so that's the quick and dirty kind of camera. It works great if you just need to test something out and run around. The other way to do it is to go to Assets, Import Package, Cameras, and hit Import. All right, so I'm going to drop back here over to Cameras. Now, if you look here, we have our folders over here, and we can click up here to go back, and we can move around here. But we can also go over here to the Assets area and kind of dig that way. So I'm going to go into Prefabs, and I want to bring in a multi-purpose camera. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right here. So kind of align it a little bit so it's a little bit better. And what I'm going to do is we are going to actually hit play right now. So I'm going to show you some stuff. So you notice that it's kind of working, but it's still following, and if I hit back, it doesn't really go back. It literally goes back, but you're not doing exactly what you want. So that's because we have two cameras in there, and one camera it's using for movement, and the other one it's showing us, which is really crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the main camera here, and if we look over in the inspector, at the very top you're going to see a checkbox here. What that is it's whether it's enabled or disabled. So I'm going to uncheck that. All right, and let's go ahead and hit play here real quick. So that camera is just sitting there. It works fine, but we want it to follow Ethan. So I'm going to click on the multi-purpose camera rig, and I am going to drag the third-person controller into the target. All right, and let's go ahead and hit play on that. So now the camera follows Ethan, and even kind of gives us an ability to walk around and not directly have the camera zoom to exactly what we're looking at. It takes its time getting there, and all these settings we can change. So we have the ability to kind of set where we're at with all kinds of turn settings and movement speed and all kinds of stuff like that. And that's what these settings over here are for. All right. So I'm going to actually kind of move the camera here a little bit, just so we're not quite so far away from him. All right, so let's see how that looks. Here we go. It was a little close, but yeah, there we go. Here goes Ethan. So it basically gives us a few settings here. We also have some tools that one here that if I turn this on, it basically keeps your camera from going into a wall. Now it's kind of hard to see. Pretty much if I do this, you'll notice that the camera kind of moves around the block. A little bit. It's hard to see. So I'm going to increase the height of that block just a little bit. Now watch. So you notice the camera is avoiding going into the box. And in this case, it's kind of jumped up on it. So it's pretty cool that way. So we can modify things. Of course, if we can do other objects like 3D object, sphere. And I'm going to kind of drop this here real quick. So right now the sphere just sits there looking cool. But we can't push it or anything. So let's make it affected by physics. How's that sound? So the way we have to do that, it's really easy. We're just going to go here to Add Component, click on that, and then go to Physics, and add a Sphere Collider. Actually, no, we're not. We already have the Sphere Collider, I see. Now we're going to add the rigid body in this case. So let's go ahead and hit play on this. Dunk. Our sphere is now an object that is controlled by physics, and there it goes. Pretty awesome, right? Now, the world we have right now is kind of bland, so let me go ahead and kind of shrink this down a little bit here. Let's go ahead and add some grass. So I actually have some textures over here. The easiest way to find textures, for use while you're a student is just go to Google and search. It's really that easy. Just search whatever you're looking for, texture, and if it's like going to be for a ground, look for seamless if you can. So I'm going to click on assets here, and I'm going to drag this image here. So literally all this image is a picture of grass. It's just grass, nothing fancy. So I'm going to drag this down here to our assets. All right, and what that is doing is it's importing that file. So now we can actually use it. So I'm going to now drag this directly onto our ground. And we have grass. Very fancy, right? All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring another one in here and drag this basketball in, or the texture for the basketball. It looks strange, but if I actually drag it onto the sphere, it actually works out. All right. So if I hit play on it, it's a little bit easier to see now. Yes. Well, we don't actually have the control of Maya in this. But it is sometimes a lot easier that way. One of the things I'm going to show you here, speaking of Maya, all right, well, let me go ahead and start this up. This is the first time I've run it on this machine, so give it a second here. It's probably going to be a little whiny. Okay, yeah. And one last thing I'm going to do before this is to close these things out. I'm going to fix this problem here real quick. You'll notice how it's small. Well, there's a quick and easy way to fix it now. If I right-click, choose Troubleshoot Compatibility, give it a second here, try recommended settings, test the program. And, I forgot to put in the files. Okay, well, whatever. We'll deal with it. So there's the fix Maya files we still need. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK on this. Close that out. All right. So I'm just going to drop a few things in here. I'll just have to get really close to see the stuff here. All right, so how about I create some stuff here? All right. Turn on some stuff here. All right. Assign new material, Lambert. File. Find a file. Let's see. How about the desktop? How about some? We'll make it out of marble, which is kind of silly. What is shortcut for? Okay. Yeah, Alt F4. It really is. So that's not terribly pretty, but you just can imagine here. All right, so I'm going to duplicate this and move it. All right. So I'm just doing some quick work here on this. Nothing fancy. Because you've already seen this before. All right. Well, hit Control Delete and task it from there. All right, so we have this marble table. Okay, so it's really cheesy, but it's just something here. Control Delete, find the program running. You might actually have to murder Unity to do it. You find Unity and then hit in task. So I'm going to save the scene real quick. All right, let's go ahead and go to the desktop, and let's call this table. Yes, that is really cheesy. It is. And you hit continue on that. Now, you'll notice here, it has now saved this on my desktop. So I'm going to go back here real quick. And I'm going to drag this into my, this Maya file that I saved into Unity. And we're going to give it a second here, because that's the way it is. Okay, so it's added in there, materials, and then we're going to drag. We're going to go, well, we're going to go into materials after we've dragged that in. And we're going to drag the seamless marble, or whatever one you used, in here. And then we need to go in here and fix this one. So we're going to drag this to this first one here. All right. And now we can go back and drag our table in. Hey, look at that. We have a table. Yeah, you have to save the scene and the project all at once. Or, at the same time to have the whole thing. Kind of stinks that way. So right now, yeah, I know, Kyle. Uh, yeah, that is a huge table. I didn't worry about scale or anything like that when I set it up. Um, now, right now, we can walk right through it. So what we need to do is to go in and go to Physics, go to Mesh Collider, and find our mesh here. So you'll notice here our last object here is mesh. All right, and that pops open a whole window here. It's hiding away from me. Okay, so we could do that. We could go in and select all of these and add a mesh for it. It's not a lot of fun, but it is possible. So we wish we could do that. Unfortunately, it doesn't really allow us to. Actually, what I want to do is I'm going to remove this for now. I'm going to show you a quicker and easier way. We should be able to do this. I'm going to remove that component. So this table is actually made up of a few components here. So we have our cube here. All right, and we're going to add our component physics mesh collider, and that'll add that one in. And we're going to do the same thing for all four of these here. We're going to see if this works like it used to. Physics mesh collider. All right, and see if that actually filled it out properly. And it looks like it did. So the thing to remember is only add that to objects that you need to collide with. So right now Ethan is kind of too tall to get under it. So really we could get away with, if we were only dealing with Ethan, we could get away with just that. Yes, the grass is way too large. That's because basically all I did was drop it in there. I'll show you how to fix that actually. If we go down here and go into our materials, so this is our grass here, this is where we set the grass up basically. We want to go in here to change this to, let's say, 10. Oops. If we go into tiling, that will kind of change the size of that. So that's a little bit better. Yep, tiles. So let's see if I can, I hit it at the wrong angle again. So apparently I need to be a little bit over this way. So you notice how it stopped there. And it still rolls off. Yes, exactly. That's exactly why you need the seamless texture. You see how good that actually looks? I mean, yeah, you see the repeats, but it is actually kind of hard to see where it begins and ends, isn't it? Not all your textures are going to be perfect like that. And we have a few different ways of dealing with that grass to make it look better. But that's a little bit further than we want to go in this. All right, so let's kind of move on here. Yeah, normal and height maps definitely help. But we're not terribly worried about that right now. That's if you were working on it. Plus, I need to give you guys something to figure out on your own, right? All right, so we have all those items there now, right? Pretty handy. All right, so we have a few items there. All right, so before we have problems like Kyle, had. Let's go ahead and go up to File and hit Save Scene. So right now we haven't saved the scene yet. So I'm going to call this Scene 1. Scene 1 is what we're calling this. And I'm also going to go to Save Project as well to save both of those. All right, so the next thing I'm going to show you is, well, let's kind of deal with scripts real quick. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create another object here. Let's see, right about there. 3D object, and I'm going to do a capsule. All right, so let me bring that capsule kind of out of the ground. All right, so we have a capsule here. Doesn't do much. It just sits there and floats. So let's go ahead and add to it by using the Add Component button here. We're going to, you see where it says scripts? Well, that's not what we want. We're going to actually scroll down a little bit where it says New Script, and we're going to start off with that. All right. You're going to notice it has a few things that are kind of spelled weird occasionally. Just so you know, Unity is actually made in England, so they sometimes like to spell things a little differently. They like to use a few extra U's and stuff like that, so color and behavior and stuff like that. So usually they get color right, but behavior is they decided to keep that. So also you're going to notice here that there are actually 3 words here in the name, New Behavior Script. And you'll notice each first letter is capitalized. That is called camel casing. And what that does is it allows you to kind of take apart big jumbles of letters and figure out what they're saying. So what I'm going to do is, well, let's name it, my script, for example. All right, and we have 2 languages, C# and JavaScript. C# is the one that's closest to its actual language. JavaScript is a special version of JavaScript. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Create and Add. So what that did was it actually created a brand new script and attached it to this object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually drop back here to the assets here at the very top. And either I can double click on it here, or I can do the same thing right here. And it's going to open Visual Studio right now, if everything went well. If not, that's a whole nother thing. You might want to get a hold of me and I'll show you how to fix that. So this is Visual Studio. Right now I have it in the dark color theme because I like dark color themes. It's a lot easier on the eyes. All right, and what I'm going to do is go to, I'll show you how to turn this on. If you go to Tools and then Options, and under General, Color Theme, normally it's like blue or light or something like that. But if you change that to dark, it'll go to this version here. It's a lot easier to look at. Actually, Ray, I have a better one. A better one that you can actually use. And Windows phones are dead anyway, so so actually, here, let me pop that the thing up for you here. What you need to do is you need to sign in through Connect. Log in. And what we're going to do is we're going to search for Lynda, Lynda, right there, lynda.com portal, right there. The reason why we're using this way instead of going directly to the website is because with this we get the full, full version of it, paid and everything, through Full Sail. So if you hit the Access Lynda.com button here, it's going to take us through a special login procedure. And the one you're looking for, is up and running with C#. Yes, the guy will put you to sleep, But hold on, let me stop it here. But it actually teaches you everything you need to know. It's like I think it's like 3 hours. Um, but yeah, they have a lot of stuff here. You can start off at introducing Visual Studio because everything else here, these two other ones, basically it's stuff you don't really need to know, and you already have um, Visual Studio installed, so you don't need to install anything. Yeah, work through these, and it'll actually kind of give you a head start in a future course, Programming Fundamentals 1. So, yeah, so lynda.com has a lot of stuff. It's disgusting how much it has. It's great. So you go through that, and you will have a pretty good. Is it really that far? I didn't think it was that far ahead. Okay, well, whatever. You'll have a pretty good understanding with that and of it, and it'll make your life a lot easier. And then you can say you can kind of code a little bit. Oh yeah, I guess you are in month 6. So, all right, so let's move back here real quick. I just forgot how far you guys were in by the time you got to me. Even though this is like your first game design course. So this is the basic, let me zoom in out here. Yeah, it's a little small. I have it big for when I have to show it on the projector for the guys that are on campus. So this is the starting point for um, a script from Unity. It comes with a start. I like to call them functions. I know they have their own name, but I call them functions still. And then we have our update. So the start one, it basically runs whenever start happens, whenever the object is created. There's a little bit more information behind it, and there's actually something that'll run before it, but don't worry about that for now. We also have update, which is called once a frame. So every frame, this gets run. There's one called fixed update that happens at a specific amount of time, no matter whether a frame is being drawn or not. This happens whenever there's a frame. So if your computer's running slow, this will run slow. If your computer's running fast, it will run faster with it. So the next thing I want to show you here is some information to kind of help you kind of, I'd say talk to yourself, but it helps you look at when things are happening. And that is using the debug commands here. If we start off with debug, D-E-B-U-G, and that's a capital D, and we hit period after that, and we type log, capital L log, we can type messages to ourselves, basically. All right, and pretty much every line in C# ends with a semicolon, almost. All right, so I've done that. I'm going to hit Control S to save, and I'm going to drop back here to Unity. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit play on this. And if I had actually maximized this, you'll notice down here at the bottom it says Start Happened. And if I click on it, we can actually see it in the console here. So it says Start Happened, and was that code that got run. That was attached to this pill, basically. It's called a capsule. All right, so you can also see it under console here. And the other one here, if I drop back here, if we do this again, debug.log, frame update. right, semicolon on that, and save that. And now every frame it'll print that out. So we can do that again. So it's just keeps going. You can see it's doing it pretty fast here. So it's pretty handy that way. All right. So the next thing I'm going to show you here is kind of a movement. A little bit of movement here. So I'm going to drop back in. So instead of printing every time, I'm going to do this dot game object dot, and we're going to go to transform. So transform allows us to modify the positioning of this object. All right. And then I'm going to go to here, and let's find rotate. All right, so we have rotate, rotate around, and rotate local. These two are what are called depreciated. Depreciated means you should no longer use it. Well, the last one is. You can use the second one. Basically, depreciated means we're about to get rid of it, but we don't want to get rid of it now so we don't break all your code. So I'm going to start with here this rotate. All right, and I'm going to hit open parentheses to start this function basically. And you'll notice over here it has 1 of 6. So if you're comfortable with Euler angles, you can use that. But really what I want is I'm going to go to the last one. So I'm just going to hit up once. And I'm going to use this, the float angles, the 3 float angles in space relative to. So what we want is we want to rotate around, let's see, the z-axis. Because this is it the z-axis we want to rotate? No, we want to rotate around the x-axis, because that's the one right here, the red one. So what I'm going to do is, let's go back here real quick, pull up our stuff here. So the x-axis is what we want. So I want to rotate, let's say, 90 degrees a second. So 90 degrees a second. And I put 0, the point 0f at the end to represent that fact that it's a floating point operation. And we're going to do 0 on these. All right, and the last one is space relative to. So what we do is we type space, and we hit a period. And this gives us a choice of either self, which is its z-axis, or the world's z-axis. So in this case, we want the world's z-axis. All right, so let's imagine, let me explain this one a little bit. So let's say we have this mouse here. So its, let's say its y-axis is up, is right here. All right, so it's sticking straight out the top. All right, right now the world's y-axis is, basically following the same thing right now. So it's coming up like this. All right. So if I apply this rotation to the world, what it'll do is we're going to rotate like this, right? So I'm going to rotate the mouse kind of like this. It's maybe a little bit different, but the idea is the same. So we're going to rotate the mouse like this. All right. So if I rotated locally while I'm rotating it, this whole this mouse's y-axis is following it as well. Local is always following it. So rotating it might have quite an undesired effect. So if it was rotating like this, because it was in some sort of tumble, and I rotated it around its y-axis, it's going to do something like this. So it's kind of hard to draw it or kind of simulate it in there. It just means how it applies that rotation. So I'm going to go ahead and hit semicolon at the end here, and we're going to run it. I'm going to hit Control S, and I'm going to show you a little error that we actually have in this right now. So I'm going to hit play on this right now. Actually, I have to click that twice. And you will notice it is in spaz out mode. I don't know if you guys can see it as well, but it's literally just having 4 animations right here. If we get close enough, Ethan can get a little bit of a headache. So what's happening is that we are actually rotating by 90 degrees every frame, and that's not good. So we want to fix that, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, I know it's laggy, and fortunately, if you were watching the real one, it would look better. It basically looks like a plus. So let's go ahead and fix that. All right, so to fix that, we take what we have and we multiply it. I know it sounds weird, but we're going to multiply this value times the amount of time that has passed between frames. So remember, we're aiming for about 60 frames a second. And this time we were rotating 90 degrees every 60th of a second. And that's not good, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to take that and we're going to multiply by how much time has passed. And multiplying by a number that's less than 1 actually reduces numbers. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do time, capital T, time, dot delta time. Basically what this does is it gives us back a value that is, the amount of time that's passed since the last frame. So I'm going to hit Control S, and I'm going to hit play on that. Now the thing, we have to actually click Unity once here, start. All right, I'm going to hit play now. And now it's kind of rotating at a fairly decent speed. It's no longer ridiculously fast. It is 90 degrees a second. Nice, huh? All right, so we have that, and of course, we could always rotate by negative 90 degrees a second, so we can go the other way. All right, hold on. Is that better? Actually, you know what? Let me turn my camera off. And see if it updates better for you. There you go. No. All right. So some of you probably haven't. Okay. Yeah, it was a combination of uploads and download fun. Okay. So now we have that. Yeah, we can rotate by other things. We could drop this in the other ones, and they would work fine as well. So we have rotations. Now, we don't have to limit ourselves to one script per item. We can actually have multiple scripts. So what I'm going to do is I am going to drop over here, and we are going to go into your FSO page. Let's see. See your stuff here. All right. Oh, wow. Okay, so for some reason it is only showing one of them on this one. I'll have to fix that. Um, Let me drop back. One script. There's supposed to be actually two scripts there. I'll add them in. Okay. Okay, so I'll bring the other one here. I'll go ahead and save both of these here. Yeah, because you didn't have the advanced one apparently. You know what? Let me go ahead and upload that. So I went and grabbed both of them there. Shoot. All right, one last thing. Of course it hides it behind there. You need the other one here. Okay, cool. I'll actually have this fixed here in just a second for you guys, or at least for you guys in section 1. So Ray, the 20 objects mean 20 separate objects. So weekend? What's a weekend? Okay, so we have those two files. I will jump over later on tonight. Actually, yeah, I'll jump on later over tonight and have that. Um, you know what? Here, I'm going to upload it to Dropbox for you guys. All right. Actually, all right, so I'm going to drop a link in here for you guys. If I can find the chat windows. There we go. All right, so you can actually download the file at that Dropbox link that I have attached there. Those of you that are watching the video, I will have already probably fixed it by the time you see this. So, all right, so we have two files there. The change color script, which is this one here, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract that. Just reducing the length of the name there. All right, and then I'm going to take this file here, the changecolors.cs. I'm going to drag it into our objects here, or into our assets. All right, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that file, or drag the script over here into our inspector. So now that is actually added that script. So I'm going to do some things here. I'm going to click the arrow next to color, and I'm going to change that size from 0 to 3. And what that does is it'll give us 3 elements here that we can set the color on. So the first one here is, hold on, must be hiding the dialogue for it. Wow, okay, so Unity is being silly, which it happens occasionally. And the way you fix that is, sadly, we save and restart Unity. Save scene, save project, exit, and reopen. So I'm just going to reopen Unity here real quick. All right, so let's go back to our capsule here. All right, and I'm going to click on the item right here, and all right, so for some reason it's not popping that open. Shoot. All right, it must be still broke. Because they're not designed for users, they're not as tested as well. It's just the way it is. You're expected to be able to deal with that. It also may be that I'm recording this as well, so. All right, so let's try kind of a little dirty trick here. I'm going to choose kind of a greenish color here, maybe. We'll see. All right, close enough for green. Let's see the next one. Let's see if we can find some blue or something here. And let's see if we can find some red. Or some other color. Light blue. Okay, close enough. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play now. And now our object is changing color. It's okay. None of these are really used to actually, trying to do this stuff while you're recording, so. All right, so we have that running there. Next thing I'm going to show you real quick is collision detection. All right, so we actually have 2 types. We have what is basically what's called a trigger, which basically happens on when, how should I put it? Think of it like walking up to like a grocery store door, with the automatic doors. You're triggering that door to enter. So instead of seeing that object, you're just walking into it and it happens. And a collision is, for example, hitting a button, like on your keyboard. Oh, by the way, Kyle, that it amounts to a religious discussion in game dev. So, All right, so first thing I'm going to show you is the collision version of it. Now, you have to have a collider on it for this to work. So just make sure that is there. It's okay. It's good if you're an artist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my script here. I closed Visual Studio when restarting all this stuff. All right. So what we want is to fill in a very specific function here. All right, and it will call this one whenever you run into something. Now, in case you forget, we have help up here, and if we go down to Unity API reference, this is kind of an addition to it. We can actually use that. Autosave is for noobs. So we're going to go, we need to help Unity API support, or API reference. And what we're going to do is search for on collision, enter, spelled like that. And we're actually going to look at the first one. All right, so we're looking at this one. This basically tells us what's going on, what we want. Basically, it says, okay, this gets called whenever, one thing runs into another, and it's stopped. So what we're looking for is on collision enter, this one right here. So we're going to copy that. And we're going to drop that into our code under my scripts. Paste that. So we're going to do open curly brace, close curly brace. Now you'll notice here that we have, some like this, some curly braces like this, and some like this. Again, it's kind of one of those religious discussions between coders. There's this way of doing it, and then there's the right way of doing it. It depends on which side you're on. Yes, it is a preference, technically. There is no difference between just the way it looks. So we have on collision enter. So this is what happens. This gets run whenever there's a collision between two objects. And with this collision thing that's passed in here, we can actually look at what we ran into, or what ran into this object. And we're going to ignore that for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type debug. We're going to have it print something out. .log. Or not dot. Open parentheses. Boom. All right, so I'm going to save this. And I'm going to go back here. All right, so I'm going to hit play on this. And I'm going to walk into the object here. In fact, I'm going to actually pop this open so we can see it while it's happening. So I'm going to walk over here and boom, boom. And we're running into it. So now, one thing I'm going to show you, I'm going to hit clear here real quick so we have a kind of a fresh view of it. All right. Let's see if I have the skill to do this. It would probably be easier if I go into the editor and fix it where I can do that, but no. Shoot. Let me just restart and move it closer. All right, let's try that again. So if I move this ball into the, see, it even marks that as hitting. And it works for me as well. So how that's useful is that it will actually allow us to figure out what we're running into. Whether we are running into a power-up or we're running into an enemy, so we should lose health or die or, whatever. We can figure out what's going on with what. And we use the collision part of that. So if we do, if a collision dot tag. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, dot other. Collision dot other. Or dot. Well, we could do name if we knew the name of that. Tag is what we're looking for. Tag equals player. All right, so it's saying there's something wrong. So it can't, equals is equal to. So just remember 2 equal signs is to check the equality of something, see if they're the same, and 1 equal sign is to do an assignment. All right, so of course it's saying, please use the other blah, 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 but we're lazy like this. So now if we set this up right, and Ethan is marked as a player, this should work. It should say boom only when we run into it, not when anything else runs into it. See, we run into it, but not when the ball runs into it. If I can get it to... See, not when the ball runs into it. Only us. All right, and those tags are configurable, so it doesn't just have to be player. You can add other tags. So, add tag, and you can do what you want. All right, so we have those. So I'm going to save this real quick, and let's go ahead and start one more new thing here. I'm going to do a new scene real quick. And just to make Kyle happy, we are going to go to 3D Object in Terrain. I'm going to add a terrain in here real quick. All right, and I'm going to kind of zoom out here real quick to... Oh, yes, you're allowed to use terrains. Basically, I just wanted to start off with something simple first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of draw some stuff out here real quick, just so we have some stuff going on. So I'm going to increase the brush size and the opacity. All right. And then I'm going to use this tool to, it's called a paint height. So if I shift and click, that will set my height that I'm going to paint at. And I could keep doing this, or I could go, increase the opacity and the size and paint it all over here. That's what I'm doing right now, is I'm kind of painting this height. The reason why I'm doing this is because you can't paint below the low surface here, the bottom, basically. Yeah, it's been fixed. Okay, yeah, I'm going to show you some other stuff here. Actually, I'm going to hit the paintbrush here, edit texture, add texture. So it should have popped up a little thing, and yeah, that's what it's doing. It's not showing any of my my textures. Oh, that's not good. I might have to reboot for that. So that's sand texture. Yeah, That's definitely not good. I wonder if I can drag it on there. Nope. Wow, that's not good. Okay. Well, you should be able to add a texture to that and paint it on. Ah, man. It's probably going to require a reboot for it, but I'm not willing to reboot at this point, so. But let's just imagine we've added that on there, and I'm going to bring a little bit more. I'm going to create a quick island here real quick. All right. And I'm going to get kind of close to it here real quick. All right, and we're going to bring in Ethan real quick. So since we already have it, and between scenes, you actually get to keep all the stuff that you've already done here, or you've already imported. So I'm going to bring Ethan in here real quick. Yes, Ethan is small because our area is actually pretty large. So, all right, so we've got Ethan there. Let's go ahead and add the camera. The multi-purpose camera here. Dunk. All right, and we are going to make sure third-person controller is set to player. All right, and it should. Let's do this real quick. So it's not. So what I'm going to do is just drag the, click on the multi-purpose camera rig here and drag that there. That should have worked. Okay, so it's being, yes, thank you. Very good, Kyle. You are correct. I forgot to disable the main camera. Thank you very much, Kyle. All right, so we have Kyle running around here, Ethan running around here. Yes, you can persist objects. That takes a little bit of code to go between it. You have to call a function on it called don't destroy on load or something like that. But that's beyond what I'm gonna teach you here. That's a whole nother story. All right, so we have this here. It's right now we're just on a mesa, I guess. Sorry, I can't paint it black. Unfortunately, I can't paint anything on it, which really makes me mad. So I'll try one more time, but yeah, it's not allowing me to do any sort of pop-up. That's stupid. All right, so I'm just going to save this here quick. Scene 2. Yay, caps lock. No, you can't, unfortunately. That's not the way terrain works. Normally, when you hit the edit texture and add, it'll pop up a window where you can choose the texture for it out of all the ones in there, and you hit add to that. And yeah, I know I tried that a long time ago too, but it didn't work out. And you can add other ones. So the first one you add, everything is covered in that. The second one you add allows you to paint that specific one on. And any others, you can paint that one on as well. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add another object here. So I'm going to go to Assets, Import Package, and we want Environment in this case. Nah, it's a great idea, Kyle. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Import. This is one of those, how about that weather and or local sports team moments. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. So the first one you lay down is what you want everything to kind of default as, and the others are the ones you paint on. So if you're doing like this giant grassy area, lay down your grass first. Or if you're doing something like this, I was going to lay down a nice bottom ocean floor texture, which would be fine, and then drop the grass and the sand on it. So, uh, like I said, I just brought in some stuff, some environment stuff. In fact, it's really cool. So we're going to start off with water here. So I'm going to go down environment and then water, and we're going to choose water 4. All right, and then we'll go to prefabs and water 4 advanced. All right, so I know it looks kind of weird, and it is kind of weird, but it works out pretty well. So I'm going to kind of drop this here where it's just slightly below the edge there. All right, so water. Yes, it does move like the ocean, which is good. So now that I have it selected, I am going to just increase the size. So you want to draw it out like this and not use the center one, otherwise the waves will get high. I mean, you can if you want. It works fine, but we don't want that quite yet. So we have a bit of ocean there. And of course we can draw it. Yeah, crazy storm weather. That would be it. Of course you can drag it out further and make it go all the way to the horizon, which is actually a good thing because it'll look better. And this is created kind of a by code, so now we have some ocean. Yeah, I'm gonna leave skyboxes for another time because that's a little bit of extra work. The next thing, I'm gonna save this here real quick as soon as I drop out, and I'm also going to show you a little bit of user interface now. Kyle, do you know about user interface? How would you like some quick user interface here? All right, so I'm going to save this. So we have this here. We can run real quick. We can run around. Unfortunately, the water in this um, does not handle floaty stuff or anything like that right now. So we actually have to code that in ourselves. But let's go ahead and show you the user interface stuff here. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go back up here to the top, and I'm going to go to the first scene here, where it says scene 1. I'm going to double click that, and that's going to bring us back to our thing here. All right, so we probably want to swap between these two. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to go in and add some code to our one of our scripts here. In this case, I'm just choosing this one because it's there. I'm going to do a public void swap scene. And that's what I'm just going to call it. It doesn't really matter, just as long as it's memorable. All right, so the normal way of doing it was application dot load level, capital L, and we want to give it a name here. We can either use an index, which we're actually going to have to fill that out here real quick. Actually, let's go ahead and do that real quick. So we're going to go up here, back to Unity, and go up to File, and go to Build Settings. All right, so that's going to pop open a window that allows us to kind of set what we want our settings to be. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add open scene, so that adds the first one. And then I'm going to drag scene 2 in. And yeah, I spelled that great. I had the caps lock on. All right, so now that we've done that, we can actually go back here. You'll also notice there are 2 numbers here, 0 and 1. Those are the scene indexes. So if we had a third one, it'd be index 2. Computers like starting counting at 0, and that's just the way it is. So now that I've done that, I don't have to press any other buttons. I just have to close that out. I can either use 1 to go to the second one, or I could actually give the title to it. So something like that, whatever I had it as, or I can give it the index to it. So I'm going to give it the index to it, so I don't have to worry about spelling. You're also going to notice it's a green squiggly again. Basically, this is saying this is the old and busted way of doing it. The correct way of doing it is to use the, this is actually kind of new with this version here. We use scenemanager.loadScene. But I'm just going to show you how this works first. So I'm going to hit save. And we're going to drop back here. All right, so we need to add a user interface because right now it doesn't really, we don't have anything on screen. It just looks silly. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click out here to make sure nothing is highlighted in hierarchy. And then I'm going to go to create and then down to UI. And in this case, I'm going to put a button in first. So I'm going to choose button. All right, and you see this like kind of this strange line on screen. Actually, that is part of the user interface. So if we kind of slide over and then go back a little bit, we see this giant button floating in the air. I'm going to kind of zoom back here. It's ginormous. All right, so this is kind of a representation of the overlay of your screen. So we're going to edit this, but we don't use our normal movement stuff. We use this one right here, this last button here. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to kind of move it onto the screen here. All right, so this stuff around here allows you to kind of set things to, to proper sizing on that, and allows you to do all kinds of stuff. Like we can lock it to this specific size. Yes, it is exactly how you make a menu. So what I'm going to do now is, right now it just says button, and that's no fun, right? So I'm going to click the arrow next to button here, and I'm going to click text. All right, so I click that text, and this is going to modify this text inside the button. Now, it doesn't have to be text. It could be a picture or anything you want, but in this case, it's text. So I'm going to change this to do not press. All right, so I'm going to save that, Control S. All right, and I've done that. And I'm going to go back up here. Actually, I'm going to hit play on this. All right, so now we have this do not press button in here. If we click on it, it doesn't really do anything right now, right? It kind of darkens like we're pressing it, but it's not assigned to do anything quite right now. So let's make it do something. So I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to go back over here to button. I'm going to click on that, and if we go over here to the inspector and scroll down, you'll notice it says something here called on click. List is empty. We're going to hit the plus next to that. All right, so this adds a new event to happen. So what we want to do is we need to kind of give it some information. The first part is an object. So this object is going to take this command. And in this case, we're going to use our capsule because our script is actually attached to that object. And we're only using it just because it's already attached. All right. To the right of that, you now see something that says no function. Yeah, it is kind of the hub to it all. So I'm going to hit no function on that, and that's going to list us should I put it, scripts that are attached. Yes, there are game objects, actually. The game object is a script, but don't worry about that. But we're going to go down here to my script, the name of our script. And then I'm going to go over here and choose swap screen. That's what I called it. You can call it whatever you want. So I'm going to hit swap scene. And now, if I hit play, this button will swap us to our other one. Right now our lighting hasn't been built properly, so that's why it looks a little weird. Just the way it is. It takes a little bit of time for that to happen. So now we can, swap to that one. So now you have a button, Kyle. All right. Also, I'm going to show you something here. Okay, we're going to go to File. Let's say you want to give your game or whatever to your, your mother or someone, all right? Yes, Kyle, you are. I'm going to go to Build Settings here. All right, make sure I'm on Windows. If you can go to, if you know the machine you're running on is going to be a 64-bit machine, make sure that's chosen. It just runs better. So I'm going to hit Build and Run. All right, I'm going to call this something, I don't know. And I hit Save. All right, so this is going to take a little bit because it's going to add everything and build it into an actual executable file. The more you have, the longer it takes to do. Just the way it is. So just waiting on that. So we're just waiting on this. Here we go. And this should actually look kind of familiar. You might have seen it on some games. Yes, we're going to stay on our main display here. So I'm going to hit play on this. Dunk. Yes. So now we have our game running as its own standalone executable. You don't need Unity installed to run this. And of course, if we hit our button, we'll swap over to this other scene here. Now, you're thinking like, how do I kill this? You're like, I can't like hit escape or anything. If you hold down Alt and hit F4, it will exit. If you're on Mac, you hit Command Q. All right, so that's kind of a problem, isn't it? We could make a button to exit like that, but one other thing I want to show you here. If it ever asks you want to reload, just hit Reload All. It's cool. Sorry, Kyle, I didn't realize you were running on Mac at that point. All right, so you'll notice here, let's go into Update, and we're going to add this here. We're going to do an if statement, and we're going to use input dot get key get key down is what we're looking for. Get key down, and we're going to use the key code dot escape, or you can use whatever you want. If this equals true, then we're going to use application dot exit. I'm sorry, not exit, quit. The semicolon. All right, so now anytime that this script exists and you hit escape, it will quit your application. I'd have to build it one more time for that. I don't think this is going to take quite as long now because I think it's built everything for us. Or it's done a lot of building for us already, so. All right, so let's try that again. All right, so if I hit escape now, it jumps out. So you have to write your own quit stuff as well. All right. Well, one of the other things I want to show you. All right. Yes, I have an error, and I think that's mostly because, yeah, because my stuff isn't working. It wasn't popping up in the window. So, yeah, that's great. All right. So let's go ahead and jump to the other one real quick. Let's save the scene. All right, so we're kind of back to our island here. Fly over to our island. So, what is something we're missing? Maybe some sound? How about we add some sounds to this? So let me go ahead and do that. All right, let me go ahead and find us some sounds. I know I have some already laying around, mainly because I have done this before, a few days ago. So drop open our downloads here. About some surf sounds, and bring that in. And how about some cheesy background music too? Okay, so for sound, so we have different ways we can do this. We can add, spot-specific sounds, and we can also add sounds that are kind of just follow you around, which is, like music and things like that. I'm going to add, so I'm right-clicking here. I'm going to add, go to audio, audio source. All right. So we have our audio source there now, and it's just sitting right there. We're going to mess with that in a second. I'm going to drop in the surf sound, and this is what it kind of sounds like here. All right, anybody want to go to the beach now? So I'm going to drop that sound in here. All right, so I'm going to go drag this AM audio surf, in this case, up to the audio clip here. Yes, seagulls as well. All right, so I'm going to drag it up there, and I'm going to check these here, these bypass effects, bypass listener, and bypass reverb zone, because we don't need any of those. All right, we want play on awake checked, and we want to check loop, because without that, it's kind of, it'll play once and end. I'm also going to kind of drop back the volume just a little bit from experience. So I'm going to leave this here. So we have sound here, right? It's not a perfect sound for it, but it's still pretty cool. In fact, I'm going to drop that volume just a little bit more. That's a little bit better, right? And I'm also going to add one more audio source. Audio source. Check all these. And loop it. And of course, we went to our nice cheesy island music. That wasn't the best island. It was the best island music I could find real quick. yes, volume is way loud for that. So just gonna kind of drop these back here, and it's kind of your job too to drop things back and kind of figure out what the sound levels should be. Yeah, I know. It's like Nintendo Island music. So, yeah, here, let me show you the one I did earlier. So this one's an executable for it. So the executables consist of the executable, what you named it, .exe, and island underscore data, or whatever the name underscore data, and it's a folder, and you need to have both of those. All right. So I'm going to hit play on this. All right. This was the other version of it, the in-class version that I did. I'm going to hit do not press on that one. Oh, I should show you trees. You guys want trees? Yeah, trees would probably be good. All right, so actually it's under environment already. So we go to environment, speed tree. Man, he left quick. I guess the only thing that would be appropriate for this would be a palm tree, right? So I'm going to go to palm, and I'm going to click on it. One thing you want to do is you want to go down here in the inspector once you've selected it and hit apply and generate material. So once we've done that, we can now, drag it in. Of course, we can rotate it or anything we want there. So if the painting stuff would work, we could do that as well. Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking. We need a hammock for this, but yeah, I don't have an asset for that. We're also missing the rum too, so sorry guys. Yes, Mark, it does need to be in Japan, so I need to be able to identify it as from being in Japan. Okay, so one thing I need to show you guys real quick. Oh, snow. Yeah, I guess that would probably be good, wouldn't it? Want some snow? Of course you do. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and drop back to the first one here real quick. All right. So let's make it snow. Yes. Yes, Hector, it will be. Let's see. I'm not terribly worried about it being flakes themselves. But yeah, that's what we're going to use. We're going to use the particle system. So I'm going to go to create particle system. All right. And that's kind of creating this like spewing up thing right now. So we're going to fix that real quick. First thing we need to do is, yeah, Snowcano, exactly. First thing we're going to do is we're going to rotate that. Actually, I can just hit 90 on here. By the way, over in the inspector, we can set our position manually, rotation and scaling. So I'm just going to go 90. So now it's spewing down. All right, and let's go ahead and move it around a little bit here. So I'm going to kind of move it up just a tiny bit. And now we need to modify these settings for this. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to change our shape. Because right now we're emitting into this cone, and that's not what we want. We want to just emit everywhere. We want snow everywhere. All right, so I'm going to change that from cone to box. All right, and I'm going to, if you notice, there are these little dots on the box. Basically what that does is it allows you to resize the box. So this one, kind of a pain, but yes, it is exactly like box colliders. All right, so actually I think I'm going to have to, it's going to be a real pain here. There we go. Now I can just drag this out. And you'll notice that when I move my cursor, look, it goes around the screen. Very handy. All right, so we have snow here, kind of. It's pretty light, but it's also big. Let's reduce the start size down to maybe half of that. So I changed that from a 1 on start size here under particle system to a little bit smaller. Actually, let's make that 0.25. And right now it's kind of a light snow. It's a Florida snow. And we're going to go here to emission, and we're going to change the rate. So right now we're doing 10 flakes a second, and that's not a lot over that area. So I'm going to bump that up to maybe 100. That would probably work, or we could go up to 1,000. But you'll notice here, when we go up to 1,000, we have this like cyclic snowing. This cyclic snowing kind of doesn't work out too well. Basically, it means we're running out of snowflakes. And we can fix that by upping our max particles here. So we could pump out 10,000 instead of 1,000. So now we have 10,000 snowflakes on screen, all while kind of being generated. So 10,000. And you'll notice it's going below the floor. Exactly. Now this looks fine on my machine, but I know it's probably too much for yours right now, or at least for the GoToMeeting or GoToTraining stuff. So let me go ahead and drop that down to half that, so it's not quite as bad. And I'm going to increase the size of this a little bit more so it covers more. And it's still kind of going through the floor. We could fix that. And it's also going through our table, which is bad. That's some, like, that's, I don't know, thermite snow. So let's fix that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down here, and we're going to find collision. And we're going to click that collision. We're going to hit the check box next to it, and we're going to modify that. So right now it's set to planes. We're going to change that to world. All right, and you'll notice our snow is bouncing now. That's not good. All right, so we're going to go down here to bounce and change that to a 0 because we don't want it to bounce. And we're going to set our dampen to 1 because we don't want it to do anything after that. Nice, huh? So now, under our table, it's no longer snowing. We can also add, if we want to have our snow affected by, like wind or something like that, we can do that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click here, go to 3D Object, and we're going to add Wind Zone. All right, so where did that go? Where did that wind zone go? There it is. We can kind of make it stick. It's like Florida snow. It will kind of stay there for a very short amount of time if it ever stays. But we can't make it pile up that way. You'll have to actually use a different technique for that. So what you would have to do is whenever you detect a particle hitting the ground, you maybe add a little bit of height to the terrain. Yeah, Minecraft kind of cheats on that. It's using it just adds a block to it. It's a lot easier to do in Minecraft. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and make this snow now be affected by this wind zone. So I'm going to click on particles again, and I'm going to scroll down here until I find external forces. I'm going to check that. And I'm going to kind of hit the name external forces. Right now it's actually being kind of blown pretty hard here. And we can reduce that by changing our number here. We can either type in another number, or we can go to the edge here on the name. You'll notice we have two arrows and we can drag down or up, however we want here, to see how much the snow is being affected. Unfortunately, it has the strange side effect of having our snow slide along the ground after it hits occasionally. That's just the way it is. That's what we turned off the dampen for. But we have wind-blown snow now. That also will affect trees as well. So I'm going to hit the apply and generate on that. We're going to add a tree here. So you notice our tree is now being affected by the wind. It's being heavily affected by that wind, which is ridiculous, but yes. I think we might be able to reduce that. If I dig around here. I'd have to find that. Yes, apparently basketballs are immune to wind. I have no idea why. Actually, might be able to make it unimmune to wind. Physics. No, don't think so. Yeah, I think you're right. It is immune to wind at this point. I mean, you can fake it and make it work, but it's pretty cool. All right. Does anybody have any questions you'd like to ask? It's up to you. Oh, by the way, one thing I want to show you real quick. If you haven't seen it before, it's first thing you need to hide your wallets right now. But if you haven't seen it before, it's the asset store. I have it on a tab right here, but you can also find it under Window and then Asset Store. So yeah, it's very handy for finding stuff. There's all kinds of stuff around. Like you can find assets for, 3D models, and let's see, environment. About some urban stuff here. So you can find all kinds of models and stuff here. Oh yes, yes. The only thing that I ask you not to use is the Japanese Otaku City. Do not use this one. As entertaining as it is, you are not allowed to use it. No, it's not the only free thing. There are plenty of other free things. In fact, you can find free things by going to Top Free. And this here happens to be the stuff that's in this area. And every time you go somewhere, like, you can find free stuff there. Let's see. Some animation. Hey, look, free stuff. The yeah, the only thing you can't use is the Japanese Otaku City. Everything else is fair game. I can't make it too easy, can I? Wouldn't be fair. See if they have anything new in here. No, not yet. Darn. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that you can get. Yes, you can use this for mobile development. It's perfectly valid for that. See and use the UI. Yes, absolutely. Yes, you can. You can also make things clickable too. All right, so let's say what that it has the box collider in here. I'm going to create a new script. Clicky. All right. Edit that. Let's see. Believe it is point on mouse down, I think. I think that's what it was. Let me check here real quick. Yeah, on mouse down. Okay, so on mouse down, let's have it do something, like change color. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy some of my own code here. So I'm going to grab this here real quick, the change the color stuff. And I'm going to paste this here and modify a few things. So the color we want, color.red. Yes. Yes, you can do that. Perfectly valid. So I'm going to save this. And we're going to run. Dunk. So you can also do that, let's see. Clear. I'm trying. Let's see. Dot. 0, 1. Oops. Alright, let's see. One more there. Alright, see if this is what I hope it to do. Kind of. Not really. I'm going to do something dirty here real quick. See if I can get this right here. So we have 3. Save that. Now it's a random color every time we click. Oh, so one thing about the snow, you notice how we have to wait for it to start falling. So it just doesn't start right away. We have to wait for it. I'm going to do something that would be kind of counterintuitive for snow. I'm going to go here to particle system. No, I'm not going to change the delay. I'm going to pre-warm the snow. Now, it automatically starts. Yeah, you'd think it would be rain, but nope, it's snow. All right. I'm going to go ahead and end it now because I'm probably running out of hard drive space by now. If anybody has any questions, no, the particle system does not count as an object. Now, only unique trees do count. So you can't go make a forest of trees and have that count. That's only one object. I know, I just saw the coming from you. Oh, by the way, if you're curious about the VR stuff, if you happen to have a headset that is supported, if you go to File, Build Settings, and go to Player Settings, and you click the other settings down here, you can go down here to Virtual Reality Supported, and you check that, and it will automatically kind of add what you need to make VR work. So wherever your camera is, you'll be able to kind of move your head from there, and it'll be in stereo and everything for you. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.